You said yesterday that we should not allow the content of experience to dim the light of our being. And when I'm here with you, when I'm in meditation, conversations even outside of this room, I sense that, and I sense the light of my being. And it's easy. Actually, I've heard you say this, it's easier than easy. It's always here. When I'm out in the world, it doesn't feel easy. It seems circumstances, situations, anxiety, boredom, desires make it like a light switch that just turns off. And I am back to fully identification with a fictional self, an egoic attachment. And it seems very hard to go back. It seems like it takes a lot of intention, a lot of diligence to be back into that sense of my being. And it gets frustrating and sad and discouraging a lot of the time. And so I have the intellectual understanding. I could explain it to just about anybody, but to feel it, to sense it, to live it consistently, it always feels like it's so far away, or I'm constantly trying to get back up after falling. And I guess my question is, one, why is it so hard? And two, how do I live that understanding more consistently?
Why is it so easy here and so hard out in the world to remain in contact with the light of your being? Simply because the circumstance that we share here is designed precisely to maximize being, to draw attention to being. Whereas your activities out in the world are designed for completely the opposite point of view. But popular culture is not designed to maximize or draw attention to being. On the contrary, it's designed to encourage you to draw your attention to your thoughts and your feelings and your bodily sensations, your activities, your relationships, and so on. But here this circumstance is a kind of special circumstance that we create to make it easy to relax the focus of our attention from the content of experience and to allow being to emerge from the background. So it's easy here for that reason. And then you go back out into the world, and the world is crying for your attention. The world is not crying for your attention here. In fact, on the contrary, being is quietly calling for your attention here. So it's easy just to go back to being. But out in the world is screaming for your attention. So to begin with, there is this discrepancy between life here in our gatherings and life in the world. They seem to be polar opposites, and you go back and forth from the two. What you find, and what those of us that have attended many of these gatherings find, that in time the difference between the two, quality of our experience on retreat and our quality of experience out in the world, it gets more and more similar until there's no difference between them. And that just, so to begin with, you find it easy here but difficult out in the world. Part of the reason why here we don't sit in meditation from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, why we provide lots of space in between for meals and conversations and walks and music, and is because it's not really meditation. What we call meditation here, just remaining in touch with being as being. It's not something we just do in our formal meditation. It's what we do all the time here. And it's good to practice that, for want of a better word, during our meals and our walks and our conversations and so on. So that's like a little mini preparation for going back out into the world. And you just go back out into the world. You may remain in touch with being for just a few minutes or a few moments, and then your attention is pulled down. You just keep coming back to yourself over and over again. And each time you come back to yourself, the old habit of losing yourself to the content of experience is weakened slightly. You find in time that fewer and fewer experiences have the capacity to take you away from yourself. And that just happens, and partly as a result of those of you that keep coming back to these gatherings. We keep coming back to these gatherings, and we go out into the world. We come back again 6 months later, we go out into the world. We go back and forth. And that helps in this stabilization process. But also it's not really coming back to these gatherings that's important. It's coming back to being that is important. And you can do that here, but you can also do it at home. So when you're at home, you want to do your best to mimic these circumstances, at least for 1 or 2 periods of the day. 20 minutes before you go to work in the morning, 20 minutes before when you get home in the evening. Turn your phone off, close the door. Mimic what we do here. Go back to your being. And then numerous times during the day, not for 20 minutes, your work probably won't allow you that, but for 2 minutes in between emails, or when your boss goes out, you just pause and you close your eyes and you go back to being. There are always these little gaps, numerous gaps throughout the day. You just keep going back to being. Every time you do that, the pull of experience will lose its power over you. And you begin to find yourself not really noticing the difference between being on a retreat and being out in the world. What was your second question? How to
have more consistency in living the understanding.
Okay, I think I answered that in the first question too. Yeah.
Which to me sounds like continued practice and or patience as well.
Yes, it's continued practice, but I don't really like the word practice as practice. It's kind of blasphemous to talk of practice. You don't approach God through practice. You approach God through love. So okay. Yes, you can practice it, but it's not an effortful, disciplined practice. It's a loving intention to go back to your being, to infinite being, to God's being, over and over again until infinite being, until the multiplicity and diversity of things lose their capacity to veil their reality. And you just have this loving intention to go back there again and again and again. You have this loving intention for the reality of the world to shine through the world and as the world. It's more to do with love than practice. But so it's fine to practice, but it's you feel you're drawn to your true nature, to being, to infinite being, to God's being, through love, more than practice. You know what it's like to love someone, or to be in love. You don't discipline yourself to think of your companion. You don't practice thinking of your companion. You go there through love. You love to do so. It's the same. That's the same way we go to God.